Welcome to the Area 2 Conference. Thank you all for joining us today. We greatly value your participation and feedback. I am Wendy Wiegers, your Area 2 representative. The Illinois Retired Teachers Association is geographically split into 6 areas, and we are in Area 2, meaning we are in the state's northeastern counties. I serve as your area representative on both the association's board of directors and executive committee. The last time I saw many of you was at the convention. Weeks afterwards, I tried to visit the Area 2 units as a newbie because I wanted to meet everybody, and had the most enjoyable time meeting with all of you. Wonderful, and meeting all of the wonderful retired teachers in your units, and being so proud of your friendships with each other and the amazing things that you are doing for your communities as retired teachers. Sadly, there were 2 units I was scheduled to go to, and that next week that I was supposed to go, everything closed, and that was McHenry and DeKalb. So hopefully in the next couple of months, I'll be able to come back to some of your meetings. I know that Lake County on Tuesday, we just had our first face-to-face meeting, and it was so wonderful to see everyone, and since we're all vaccinated, hugs and everything else. And it was just a great, great time to be together again. So hopefully many of your units will be doing the same thing, and that I can come and visit all of you again, especially McHenry and DeKalb. So if I don't see you, I hope that many of you will consider going to our convention on Monday and Tuesday of October 18th and 19th. And it's a great time. If you've never been, please go, because you meet so many people. You hear so many new things, even from today, that you will hear. You will be part of voting for new rules for our Constitution, besides the after hours, and having a good time socializing, if you know what I mean. And they have a great swimming pool at the hotel. So if you like to swim like me, I might meet you there too for a martini. Anyway, as a lover of history, these times have reminded me of a quote from Benjamin Franklin, who after everyone had signed the Declaration of Independence, supposedly said, "We must hang together, or surely we shall hang separately." And as I look back, we have hung together, and it's because of the people at IRTA, leaders in your units who have helped you guys to survive all of this for the last year and a half. We have hung together because we are teachers and we know how to keep a class together. So today you will hear all about the latest news and information from the association, our lobbyist and legislative affairs team, the political action committee, our TRS annuitant trustee, a recently completed external organization assessment, and member benefits from our great partners at AMBA. So another thing to remember, that over the last year and a half, we've had time to think about things for the future, and so has IRTA. And so I hope you will listen with open ears, because sometimes change is difficult. So enjoy everything that we are doing. So this conference is being recorded and shared with other members who could not possibly be here today. Accordingly, please be aware that other participants may be able to see you if you've never done a meeting like this before, like Zoom. Please take care not to share your screen if you are live on the virtual stage, especially. Anything you broadcast may be captured by the recording. However, after the meeting today, If you go to the chats in the lounge or the speed networking, none of this will be recorded. So you can speak your minds. During today's virtual conference, the IRTA expects all members to observe all meeting etiquette rules, the same as if you were attending this meeting in person. And don't you wish we could all be at the golf club course right now? Shortly, I will introduce our first speaker. During the speaker's presentation, I encourage you to write any questions you have in the chat or the Q&A dialog box. So if you look to the right of your screen, you will see all of these things that you can click on. So if it says chats, you can just write in your question there. Where it says Q&A, same thing. So that after the speaker will have your comments and be able to tell you your answers that you are looking for. Let's see. Oh, okay. So anyway, there are already some questions in the chat, and Trisha's taking care of those. Thank you, Trisha, very much. If you use the raise your hand that is over on the right-hand side, this will feature the AirMeet technical host who will bring you on stage, and so you will have your question live. So it's like being at convention where you have the mic and you ask your question there. And it's like since November, I did 2 maternity leaves for subbing. And it was so funny when the kids would raise their hands and they go, Mrs. W, can I go to the bathroom? You don't have to do that, okay? Just go whenever you need to go, because we're retired teachers after all. Additionally, for the hearing impaired, I encourage you to use the closed captioning feature. The closed captions are at the bottom of your screen of where I am right now, and it says CC in that little box. I can see it right now. And so if you click on that, it will have the little what I'm saying. And it's rated to be approximately 90% accurate. So I hope you're hearing what I'm saying. And surely be a boost for anyone who cannot hear so well. So just click that little CC button on the bottom. Before we begin, we are going to be giving out 2 $50 gift cards that we will do in just a second. But at our area conventions in the past, Bob Kaplan, who was the Area 2 rep back then, so I think Bob's here. So hi, Bob. I wish I had you next to me right now to say, no, that's not right. You can't do that. But anyway, so we welcome Bob Kaplan, our former Area 2 rep. But at the Area 2 conference, he would give away these gift cards. And so we are doing that tradition as well. But one of the other really fun things that we always had was Mr. Reinhardt Taylor, Mr. Serious Man himself, tell us a few jokes. So Reinhardt, I don't know, can you get on by any chance? Reinhardt, are you there? I think I saw your name. Maybe we can't get him to tell a joke, because I do not tell jokes. No, Reinhardt? Okay. So Reinhardt. I'm here. I don't know, can you get on and tell us a joke? Is he able to come on? You can on your keyboard. Speaker button with 3 lines. No? So tell you what, Reinhardt, why don't we do your jokes at the end, because we may need to have some levity in our lives, okay? So why don't we try that at the end, and then we can have you give your jokes then, because I was hoping, oh, here he comes.
Yeah.
Yay! Okay, Reinhardt.
Can you see me now?
No.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Hello? No?
We hear you, but we don't see you.
Well, that's probably better.
Oh, okay.
I just have one good joke that Bob Lyons told me.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So this guy's in the bar, and sitting near him is this gorgeous woman. And she keeps smiling at him, and he smiles at her. And finally she moves over and says, "Hey, I noticed you're checking me out." And he says, "Yeah, you're really good looking." And she says, "Well, for $50, I can fulfill your wishes." And he doesn't know. And she says, "Well, for $100, I can fulfill anything you want. Just give me 3 words." No, he doesn't know. But finally, he gives her $100 and says, "Paint my house." That's the end.
That's the end. Good one. Okay. I was expecting, of course, something else to come out. Okay. That's a good one. So thank you, Reinhard.
All right.
If you think of another one, maybe at the end.
All right.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. So now we are going to do our 2 gift cards, and they're worth $50 a piece. And the motion we passed by the Board of Directors, members are eligible for the door prize, have to be registered and present to win. So all of you, here we go. Here are your names, and we are going to spin the wheel of names. Do, 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 do. And our first winner is Dan Pedroza. All right. Yay. Congratulations, Dan. And then here's our second one. And our winner is, I need glasses, Linda Kohler. Congratulations. Both of you have won $50 gift certificates that they will be giving me your name and address so that I can send them out to you today. So congratulations. So now it is my pleasure to introduce the president of the Illinois Retired Teachers Association, Mr. John Flaherty, who I must admit, he had no idea he was going to be the president during quarantine. And he has done a wonderful job of hanging us all together, keeping us together. And my hat is off to John for doing a really phenomenal job for all of us. So here's his State of the Association address, Mr. John Flaherty.
Good morning. I want to thank all of you for being members of our Illinois Retired Teachers Association. We are able to stay a strong and vital force that fights to protect our pensions and benefits because of the strength and support of our members. I extend an enthusiastic welcome to your area representative for hosting this event, our Vice President, Bill Funkhauser, members of the Board of Directors, IRTA Executive Director Jim Bachman, and the IRTA staff, and all others in participation today. It is exciting to be here with you at this, our first virtual area conference of this association. Because this has been a year filled with unprecedented experiences and challenges for countless organizations, many of you may be wondering how our association is doing. Therefore, I want to begin the conference by first assuring all of you that the association is strong and secure. Here are a couple examples. Membership continues to steadily increase. During the past 5 years, the IRTA has outperformed peer associations who reported just 2% growth. Our association performed at 7% growth. The national median performance was 5% growth. Our renewal rate is statistically significant. In each of the last 5 years, the association experienced 90% retention. The mean renewal rate for individual membership associations is 78% nationwide. Today we are more than 39,000 members. Membership growth and renewal success is attributed to systemic membership changes made by the membership committee led by our committee chair Mike Schmidt with the assistance of the Director of Marketing and Membership Nathan Mihelich. It is important that I point out that these successes are especially noteworthy given that the association is impacted with a passing of approximately 80 members every month. The member loss is a sobering fact and demonstrates that our commitment and investment in membership efforts cannot be underscored strongly enough and must continue. The association is financially strong thanks to skilled fiscal management by the Board of Directors and Executive Director Jim Bachman. The association reports close to $2 million in total equity as of today. In 2020, donations to the foundation exceeded all previous years on record at $360,000. This was up from $293,000 in 2019 and $320,000 in 2018. Programs supported included grants to current teachers, scholarships, and housing assistance. In the election year that was 2020, the Political Action Committee's income and political donations equaled approximately $75,000 each. Total expenses were $123,000. Membership in the $1 per month PAC donation program is at 5,526 members. We eagerly encourage everyone to join. The amount in the Legal Defense Fund was at $153,000 as of December. With all of our external challenges, the Association, Foundation, and Political Action Committee each continue to fulfill their missions at every level. We have fulfilled these purposes with a combination of new practices, agility, and with fortitude for success. Two of our most recent great achievements were: one, the successful virtual mentoring program. The virtual mentoring program, executed by Jim Bachman and the association staff, matched any Illinois student with a retired mentoree and tutor during the early months of the pandemic when school was at home and both teacher and student were new to learning virtually. The program was offered free of charge to students of any level of assistance. The program was a tremendous success, and the association received exceptional media exposure for our selfless retiree volunteers who gave countless hours during a period of great need. Second was the We Care program, in collaboration with AARP to let our members, many of whom were homebound, know that they are cared for and thought of during the most anxious early months of the pandemic. The association reached out via Facebook and email for this popular program, and we hosted a virtual webinar to offer support and listen to their stories. All were very well received and appreciated. It is clear that the pandemic brought about changes to how our organization operates. I am proud and thankful to see how smoothly we were able to roll out our virtual meetings, to get work done via telework, and to perform with flexibility while adjusting many activities conducted by the association. There may even be more changes required in the future, however. Therefore, to make sure that our association remains valuable and meaningful, we need to reevaluate this organization, beginning with the Constitution and the bylaws, and we recently conducted a needs analysis of day-to-day operations. The Executive Committee hired an independent consultant to analyze our constitutional structure and existing operations. Final recommendations from the consultant included changes to our Constitution so we can operate more virtually, a more realistic role to the responsibility of volunteers, and a full analysis of boards and committees to determine if each is meeting the needs of our membership. As delegates to our biennial convention in Springfield in October, you will be voting on several of these proposed changes. I would encourage all of you who are interested in attending to work with your local units and become delegates to our convention. October's biennial convention is the most important business meeting for the association, and this is where we elect leadership, set policies, and procedures for our organization. As we look forward, we will use the resulting recommendations, the progresses already made because of the pandemic, and our overall flexibilities as a platform to us to speed up our transformation to an organization so that we will continue to grow and prosper and always be prepared for the unexpected. Thank you for allowing me to describe the present status of the association. Thank you again for attending this virtual conference. Let's begin with the formal program. Our first presentation is from our Legislative and Government Affairs team that will give a legislative update. And if you followed the recent legislative session, as I did, I know you may all have some concerns. It is my pleasure to introduce the Association's Executive Director, Jim Bachman, our Association's contractual lobbyist, Andrew Bodewis, and our Legislative Affairs and Grassroots Coordinator, Courtney Hayes. Jim, Andrew, and Courtney.
Well, thank you, John, and good morning, everyone. Today with me, I am Jim Bachman. I'm the Executive Director of the Illinois Retired Teachers Association, and with me today is Courtney Hayes, our Government Affairs Grassroots Coordinator, and Andrew Bodewis, our Contract Lobbyist. It's great to be here with all of you. Today we're going to talk about a little bit about legislation and items that Courtney will be working on in the next couple of months that are pertinent to the association. Let's start off by, I know the last couple of years, Andrew, that we've been working on some health insurance trip refund with the Department of Central Management Services. Can you tell us a little bit about where that legislation is?
Absolutely. So we filed language on Senate Bill 2168 this year that would have allowed for, or does allow for, folks who overpaid their trip or trail premiums to get a refund of that. Currently, CMS limits those refunds to 6 months, and we wanted to expand that to 7 years. And we filed similar legislation a year ago, but because of the pandemic, the General Assembly didn't act on that or really much of anything else. So this year filed Senate Bill 2168. It moved out of the Senate. Unfortunately, it hit a little bit of a snag in the House, but we took the exact same language, brought it over as an amendment to Senate Bill 1056. That was a joint effort from Democrats and Republicans who support the IRTA. They got that amendment filed on 1056, and that bill is now on the consent calendar and is moving along, and we're looking forward to passage.
Well, and I know in the past, in the last few years, and we had passed it previously and the governor had signed it, but we had some difficulties with the department or phrasing of the actual language and so forth. Is the department now on board?
Yes. So we sat down with the department, had multiple phone calls with the sponsors and with the department, and they understand the group that we're trying to help, and they have agreed that once this comes into law, that they're going to move expeditiously to get those refunds processed.
Is there any other pieces of legislation right now outside of the budget that we are looking and following?
Yeah, so there's a couple of bills out there, and these are familiar bills. We do this every 2 years, but these are the bills that extend the return to work extension. So for folks who have retired who want to come back and teach either in a subject shortage area or not in a subject shortage area. Those things sunset every couple of years, and we have to extend them every couple of years. House Bill 2569 is the subject shortage area, and Senate Bill 1989 is the standard 120-day extension. So both of those bills have moved through without any no votes, and are, again, both are on the consent calendar and both are poised for passage.
And, I'll just stop right here for a moment just to say that if you have any questions, please use your chat or raise your hand function to ask your questions. And at the end of our presentation, we will attempt to answer any and all of those questions. So thank you. Before we go back to Courtney, give me a little bit of idea of what we're doing with the PAC right now, or what are we looking forward to? What are we doing to raise funds?
So right now I'm trying to reach out to all the locals. We are asking for our 2021 IRTA convention. If you can donate anything, any item, they could be monetary donations. So I'm trying to get all of that in order so we can have money for the PAC.
And it's, and obviously those are tremendous things, and it's a lot of fun when we're at convention, when people are bidding on different items and so forth. But it ultimately helps our cause.
Yes.
And what is that cause? Ultimately, that's electing legislators of the future and today in the present that support IRTA members' benefits. Andrew, tell me where we're at on budget these days.
Well, as you all know, every minute it changes a little bit. From a global perspective, there's a lot of federal money that's coming into the state of Illinois right now, and that should help the state. As everybody knows, the state of Illinois has a long history of having budget woes. The federal money should help, but an interesting thing about the federal money is it's one time, so they can't build it into the budget and increase future year spending. And the other thing is that it comes with a lot of limitations that are set by the federal government on how it can be spent. It's supposed to be being spent to improve infrastructure, going to school districts to help with them increase and respond to sort of the last couple of years of pandemic impact, do more tutoring, more summer school, things like that. So the federal money is helping a little bit. From our perspective, from the IRTA's perspective, we haven't seen any proposals except for full funding for the TRIP and trail program, so that's critical. There is discussion about a very minor change to the TRS certified amount, and it has to do with a small timing change that the General Assembly is considering. It might reduce the contribution a fraction of a percent. But realistically, the way I would describe it is right now we're looking at full funding for both TRS and TRIP program, which is a good place to be. The governor historically has talked about changing that, but this year we seem to be on pace to get the full funding for both of those programs.
And I know, just as a side, that I have seen that the Thompson Center in Chicago is now for sale, and I know that the governor spoke of last year, I think, in his budget address, that some of that money would actually go to funding of the pensions. Is that still on board, or the sale of some of these?
I think this year's not unlike every other year, where despite the fact that I think we will get full funding, I think it'll be pulling everybody over the line to get there. I always really appreciate when people talk about extra funding, but in 20 years I haven't seen it. I always leave the option open that maybe they'll change.
Right.
But I wouldn't spend that Thompson Center money just yet if I were the funds.
Okay. Courtney, I know that you're going to be working on another project this summer. Can you tell us a little bit about your project?
Sure. So I'm working on developing a legislative contact list, which basically means I'm going to be reaching out to our members in certain areas of the state, just so we have a list to know who would be open and willing to go meet with their legislators if we have any issues concerning whatever it may be. We also have a whole bunch of new legislators who we would like to get our name out. So I would look out for emails from me this summer and go from there.
Yeah, I think the list of grassroots contacts that we can reach out, especially an year that Andrew, obviously, that one of the last and the final issues, that one of the biggest things that are going on in the General Assembly is the redistricting map. And so from that map, obviously, that we're going to have a lot of new legislators being elected and a lot retiring and so forth. So why don't you tell us a little bit where we're in that process?
Yes, so in the Illinois General Assembly, every 10 years there's a new map. And that means that, and then that is happening right now. As a matter of fact, we just seen the map. We're still going through it, still analyzing it. So it's brand new, hot off the presses. But what that means is that folks' legislative districts are going to change. I'll just use Springfield as an example. So Springfield used to be divided up, between a couple of different representatives and senators and everything, and that area is completely changed. Quad Cities is another area that doesn't look anything like it used to look. And that's true throughout, and especially as we talk in the suburbs and the city of Chicago, because each rep district is about 100,000 people, each Senate district is about twice that, 230,000 people, 220,000 rather. The districts in Chicago and the suburbs are much smaller than they would be, say, in the southern part of the state. So those areas have really changed a lot. And that means for a lot of you that your rep and senator may change. And so this is a political thing, right? This is a political animal in that these maps are drawn by Democrats in Illinois right now, this time anyway, and last several times. And they are designed to put as many Democrats in the House of Representatives and the Illinois Senate as possible. So there's a lot of political angst. Having said that, that doesn't mean that every Democrat in the House or Senate is necessarily going to be happy with this. So there's a lot of data that's going to be coming out. There'll be a lot of lawsuits on all of this. At this point, all we have are proposals. But it'll certainly be an issue that really impacts every one of our members. As that changes and as that forecasts what the future of the General Assembly looks like. As part of that process, there'll be retirements, there'll be new folks that are coming in, and the state IRTA is going to be really working to develop a lot of new relationships. And we've had some experience with this every couple of years for the last few times. We've had a lot of new people come in, but that will amp up over the next 2 and 4 years.
Well, and I think that also obviously adds to the whole conversation, so the whole use of what data we're using in the census data, that we really haven't got a complete data report and so forth, and so there are estimations, and so I'm sure that a lot of it will be in the courts and be settled by the courts at the end of the day. Just a final last note on some of the things that is crucial that I continue all that if you've not signed on to Voter Voice yet, I please advise you to do that. The critical times of the session, we reach out to all of our members that we have emails to on Voter Voice and telling them about issues and telling them, once you're registered in the Voter Voice platform, you actually immediately are put in your legislative districts, and so when you respond to them, they immediately get your email. So I ask you wholeheartedly to sign on to the Voter Voice. So once again, thank you for all, and we'll move on now to obviously answering your questions. Good morning. We have a few questions that have been sent in this morning, and so it's Andrew and I here today. So we're going to start with Andrew. What is happening with school consolidation?
Sure. So not the area of the law that I know the most about, but I don't think we've really seen any major changes from a legislative perspective on school consolidation. Last year really was not much of a year because of the pandemic. There was only about a dozen bills passed. And this year has been relatively limited overall as well. There were more bills, but an overwhelming chunk of those bills dealt with pandemic and post-pandemic issues. And that was very true in the school space as well. There were multiple bills to change things, for instance, allowing e-learning days in law and changes like that. So we really haven't seen a big legislative change in consolidation. Obviously, that decision can and is made at the local level. So we're continuing to see consolidations happen throughout the state. Especially, we're here in Springfield today, especially south of us, we're really seeing most school districts are probably already consolidated by now, as we get into southern rural areas, but continuing to see it. But at this point, it remains a local decision, and it's something done at the district level.
In addition to that, I see Wendy has asked us a little bit about the whole substitution, whether or not the 120 days, if that's going to be expanded because of, lack of substitute teachers and obviously a lack of teachers, how that, is there any consideration to expanding that, or how's that working?
So this year, we were successful in passing legislation that extended the 100-day to the 120 days. So that was extended for 2 years. In addition, we were successful in expanding the subject shortage area, again, extending the sunset on that. In addition to that, we removed some of this sort of maybe old-fashioned hurdles that were in the subject shortage law. For instance, a school district had to advertise those jobs in a local newspaper. Well, for much of the state, there isn't a local newspaper. So some things were updated on as far as that, but both of those were extended. As far as extending it more than 120 days or fundamentally changing the subject shortage area, that hasn't been done. It was talked about. Obviously, there's a shortage of teachers. There's a shortage of substitute teachers. I believe there'll be ongoing conversation about both of those things. It'll be particularly interesting this summer. There's a lot of federal money for summer school programs, and school districts are already saying that they're going to have trouble filling those federally funded summer school programs and probably be relying on retirees. So I think this will be an ongoing conversation over the next 2 years. And every indication I've heard from State Board of Education and others is that the teacher shortage will continue for at least the next couple of years. So
I saw in the paper that the General Assembly is coming back next week. Will this have an impact on retired teachers?
I don't think so. That's true. They're coming back in. The House is coming in on Tuesday. The Senate's coming in on Wednesday. It's not like there's an agenda that they have to follow, but right now we're anticipating that they're going to pass a major energy bill, and this is going to deal with power generation in Illinois, a major focus on nuclear power generation, and also some green energy and stuff like that. So that's going to be the big push. I think we'll also see legislation move that requires Chicago to transition to an elected school board. Their school board's currently appointed. And there may be 2 or 3 other bills, small bills that get lumped in during that time, but I don't think anything that's going to affect the funding of our benefits or the benefits themselves or any of that. So.
And I saw that we had a question in addition to that, talking about WP, the windfall elimination provision, and the government pension offset. This obviously is an issue that's concerned us and 14 other or 13 other states throughout the United States. And when I say that, because it only impacts retired teachers in 14 states in the United States, and other states have chosen to pay into Social Security and so forth, so that does not affect them. And so I guess where are we, or are we doing different things, or how are we addressing any of those issues?
Yeah, I mean, WEP and GPO has been an issue for this organization since since that law was passed. We are working in partnership with a broad coalition of folks. It includes teachers unions, it includes other state retiree organizations, it includes a lot of folks at the national level. Obviously, we're the Illinois Retired Teachers Association, so a lot of our focus and a lot of what I do is at the statewide level, but we are working in coalition with a broad group of folks to try and get this repealed. We haven't been successful yet. I think most of the folks in Illinois, one of the problems that we run into, most of the congresspersons and senators in Illinois are supportive of changing, if not repealing, at least changing the WEP and GPO to make it more fair. But we run into issues in states outside of Illinois. And
one of those things that when you're you're looking, what can you do, or so forth. I think one of the best things you can do is to reach out to your congressperson and let them know your concerns, ask them their position to see whether or not they are actually signed on to any of the legislation in Congress and in support of that, because it is our intent and our hope that at some point in time we will be able to move a piece of legislation to the floor of Congress and actually see a vote. So I would say that the best thing you do is can stay in contact with your congressman and literally try to push them forward in supporting the repeal or modification of both of those provisions. What is happening with all the additional federal money that is being earmarked for schools in the budget?
Yeah, so the feds gave tons and tons of money to the state of Illinois, to all 50 states, to some large municipalities like the city of Chicago. And a big chunk of this is going to school districts. Now, there are all kind of federal qualifications, limitations on how that money's spent. There's some additional state qualifications, limitations on how that money's spent. So it's not like the schools can just spend it willy-nilly on whatever they want. A lot of it is going to sort of mentoring or tutoring programs, and I think we'll start to see that roll out over the summer and continue into next year. Also, a lot of money for summer school programs. Touched on this a little bit when we were talking about return to work provisions. So I think schools are planning and at least have money for doing more summer school than they certainly did last year and even than they have historically. I think that we'll see this additional money be available for the next few years. So we may not see it all roll out tomorrow, but I think over the next 4 years, there's going to be a lot of additional federal money. And the focus of that is sort of making up for, especially for students who were underserved during the pandemic and weren't able to access e-learning or weren't able to achieve as much during that time. So.
You know, and obviously this year was kind of a landmark year in the sense that we have a new speaker in place and, relatively new Senate, a brand new Republican leader in the Senate and a relatively new president in the Senate. Can you tell me how, with Madigan being gone, how that has affected the workings of the General Assembly this last spring?
Sure. So, I mean, Madigan is so that change is so major because since 1983, Madigan has been the only Democratic Speaker of the Illinois House. Since 1983, there was only a 2-year period where it was in Republican control. So Welch has, walked in, to really something that has been the same for so long, and the caucus is walking into something that's been the same for so long. It's a little early to call. Welch seems to be doing a good job. He seems competent. But I think we had a situation, and again, we've got a new Senate president's only been there 1 year. The only time before this year he was there was a pandemic year, very unique year. New Senate Republican leader. The most senior leader is the House minority Republican leader. He's been there a handful of years. But I think the big change that we're seeing in the General Assembly is much less of a top-down approach to governance. The individual members are having more voice and are sort of in the process of learning how to have that voice and use that voice. So I think the next 2 years we're really going to see, I'll know more 2 years from now than I do today as far as how this unfolds.
Well, I want to thank everyone for their questions. And at this time, I'm going to introduce Ed Willett, who is our Political Action Committee Chairman. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Ed Willett. For the past several years, I have chaired the IRTA PAC committee. The committee is composed of 18 regional representatives and the chair. There are current vacancies on the committee from regions 4, 5, 8, 10, 11, and 12. If these vacancies remain unfilled, the members from those regions will have no voice during the 2022 endorsement and election cycle. Please consider a member you know who might want to fill a vacancy. The Illinois Retired Teachers Political Action Committee, IRTA PAC, was conceived as a way for our members to support General Assembly candidates who pledged to support retiree benefits and issues. Candidates for governor were later added to those eligible for IRTA PAC endorsement. Endorsements are based on supportive issues, and no consideration is given to political party or other non-member issues. To be considered for endorsement, a candidate must complete a questionnaire developed by the PAC committee with cooperation from the IRTA staff. Once reviewed, approved candidates are scrutinized by looking at their voting records and/or campaign platforms, recommendations from local units, and staff input. Final endorsed candidates are eligible to receive PAC monies, letters of endorsement, use of IRTA logo and campaign literature and advertisements, IRTA yard signs, and more. During the last election cycle, 35 of the 45 IRTA endorsed candidates were successful in their election bid. The lifeblood of IRTA PAC is the monetary donations received. Many of you will remember passing the hat at local meetings to support the work of the PAC. Several years ago, a second option was added, the $1 per month club. Members can sign up to have $1 deducted from their monthly pensions designated to go to the PAC fund. Over the years, the $1 club has outpaced all other methods and provides about $5 for every $1 raised by other means. We can do better. Of approximately 38,000 members, only about 5,500 have signed up. That number should be much higher. And as area representatives, you can help and be our biggest cheerleaders. Another means of funding occurs at our biennial convention. The monies raised by the silent auction of local unit donated items go to the PAC fund. Many of you will remember 2011 through 2013. The General Assembly had voted to substantially reduce public employee pension benefits. That assault was successfully challenged and ultimately averted by the IRTA. The case bears the name of IRTA member Doris Heaton in Heaton v. Quinn, but the cost was high, over $500,000. Supporting IRTA PAC $1 per month club can help save us expensive litigation and years of uncertainty by helping to elect those who in turn will support us. Please help us by asking each member in your area to join the PAC fund and each local to support the biennial raffle. Thank you for inviting me to your area conference, and I'm open to any questions.
Good morning. Looking over to see if there's any questions. Can you hear me? I'm assuming that's a yes.
Ed, yes, we can hear you. You're live on stage. We did have one question. How do people sign up for Voter Voice?
The best way, of course, is to go to IRTAonline.org, and you can sign up there. You can also call the office, and I'll take that fan out so it's not strobing. So you can either call the office, they could send it out, or you can sign up online, again at IRTAonline.org. just a couple of things. If there's some other questions about the PAC, we do have a vacancy, as I indicated on the video, in Region 5 of this area. So filling that vacancy, pretty important, because of course, if we have a Tier 1 race, which is a highly competitive race between someone who supports the ultimate goals of IRTA and a candidate who does not, and we do not have a representative in that area, a regional representative in that area, it creates a void that ultimately can hurt IRTA's goals. So I want to thank Kathleen Starrick and Conrad Flouter from Regions 2 and 3 for serving on the IRTA PAC committee. And as indicated in the video, the IRTA PAC is the first line of defense that we have against unwarranted and unwanted legislation. And that's simply, as Jim pointed out, that's by electing those folks who in turn support us. So, and there were 3 assaults in this last legislative session. There were 3 assaults on our pensions, and 2 of them would have involved teachers after, participants after 2023, I believe it was. So they're still wanting to do something with our pensions and health insurance benefits to try to address that. So. And the next PAC meeting is September the 9th. I want to thank Jim Bachman and the staff, Courtney and Erica, who sends out the financial reports each month that show we are in a decline on members of the PAC committee. So again, please encourage everyone to join the $1 per month club. And just before I introduce the next speakers, we left Reinhardt at the bar. And so Reinhardt was in there, and he ordered a beer, and he quaffed it down, and the bartender came by and said to Conrad, or to Reinhardt, Reinhardt, would you want another? And Reinhardt looked at him and said, now what would I do with 2 empty glasses? So Reinhardt, that one's for you. And with that, I'm going to introduce our TRS retiree representative, board representatives, Larry Pfeiffer and Doug Strand. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed. Hi, friends. It's good to be back with you, even if virtually. I do miss the days of the face-to-face meetings, but until that happens, I guess we're going to rely on these and social distancing and getting vaxxed up. So that there is an end in sight. I truly believe that. So, well, let's go over a few numbers today as we talk about an update on your pension system. And I want to thank my friend and communication director, Dave Urbanek at TRS, for getting me the numbers, and there's lots and lots of them. So let's get started. Unfortunately, we're going to start with kind of a somber and a sad statistic. To date, we've lost 416 members, both active and annuitants, due to the virus. And I hope you share with me just a brief moment of silence and keeping their memory and their spirit alive in our hearts. It is sad that this pandemic has had such a large impact on us all. Let's talk a little bit more about the hard numbers of TRS. You can take a look at what our finances were, just a whisker under $60 billion. Keep in mind this was fiscal year numbers. They're showing $54.9 billion. You'll see here in just a bit that the numbers over the last 16 months have been literally all over the board. Revenue this year was about $6.2 billion. Our benefits paid out, and this is the part that you're interested in. Your monthly checks have come, and they're over $7 billion. Investment returns just for the fiscal year, net of fees, was just a little bit over 0.5%. But we'll talk more about that later. Let's skip down to our funding status. We're around 40.5%. Yes, that's low, but that number has been pretty static for about the last 20 years. We're still a very, very large pension system. Let's talk about our membership. What makes up a TRS member? You'll see it's about a third between actives, inactives, and folks like us, benefit recipients. The average pension paid out is about $60,000. Now, let's break down membership breakdown a little farther. We're all active, we're all Tier 1 members. You're noticing that there are more and more Tier 2 members. And it looks like just in about 3-4 years, we're going to be about 50-50 split between the Tier 1 and the Tier 2 members. But at the same time, I know you're interested in just the Tier 1, our current benefits. I would show you that we have an active member out there still teaching in the classroom at 81 years of age, and that makes me smile. We see that our oldest TRS retiree is 109 years of age, and then there's a few other numbers in there for you to skim through. Let's talk a little bit about what happened in 2020 and the challenges and how TRS responded to them. Top line, bold, underlined, TRS member services were unaffected. And that is incredible given the circumstances we had as TRS. Their staff did a significant amount of work from home, but yet unaffected membership benefits were processed. In addition to that, we had an increase in claims. More and more people left the profession of teaching and retired. It looks like it was up 3,600, or they processed 3,600 claims. And they still continue to take phone calls, do staffing, meetings, weekly gatherings. I've got to give the staff at TRS a great deal of credit from what my perspective as a trustee has been. Again, if you ever have problems with TRS services, reach out to myself or any other trustee. We'd like to help get you the assistance, but usually we don't have to worry about that. The staff has done a great job, and I give them full credit for working through some really tough times. Our next slide shows you what I call kind of a yo-yo effect of the markets and investing. Look what we were January of 2020. We had about $54 billion in assets, and just a few months later, we were down to 48.5. That's an 11.8% drop. We were concerned, but at the same time, I think you'll see a little bit later on, our investments are so diversified and so focused on having upcycle, meaning when the market's good, versus down cycle, we can make money going both directions, or at least minimize those losses. Later that summer, we were at 51.6. Then September, the fall of the year, we're about even at 53.5 billion. And then a year later, we're up to $57 billion, a 17.5% increase from March, the low spot. And then following our latest number is we're just shy at the end of March of $60 billion at $59.3 billion in assets, a 22.3% increase from the market low. Or the next slide, we'll talk about the investment returns, kind of us versus them, and that's always good to look at. If you look at all those numbers crammed in there, I think the most important thing to look at is our long-term, skip down to line 30, our 30-year returns for 18, 19, and 20 are well over 8%. And that's what we as TRS look at, the long-term investing returns, not only for us as annuitants that are already out there retired, but that first-year teacher that has their first deduction taken out and put in the pension system. We have to say, yeah, the pension system will be solvent and be available for you to retire someday as well. And I think it says that very well. Whether you're 85, 65, 45, or 25, TRS will be there for you. Our current rate of, our assumed rate of return is 7%. So we're performing well over the long term. Okay, let's go to the next slide and look at what TRS did in relationship to the world, the rest of the world. See the blue arrow there? No one wants to brag about having a down cycle. We were down 9.95, about 10%. NASDAQ was down 17.8. S&P 500 was down almost 20%, and the Dow Jones was over 26.2%. So you hate to say that you lost less, but we did. We lost less. Something else to keep in mind is TRS has to be very liquid because every month we have to make those payrolls. So we can't have it tied up into long-term commitments. We have to have the liquidity. Liquidity is also good in case there are bargains to be had, and there were several of those that we were able to pick up during some of the market swings that were so volatile. Again, it's worth noting at the bottom of that slide that our 10-year, 20, 30, and 40-year returns, except for the 20-year, which includes in that cycle the down market of 08 and 09, but yet long-term results are very, very good. Let's take a look at our next slide, the challenges that TRS was able to deal with. Retirement, we're up 9% more than a year ago, and over 31 more retirees per month. There's an awful lot of folks that did the big surges, and you can see that they went out during some tough times. What impact do you have with your benefits into the community? TRS economic impacts are big in this state. We have over 250,000 TRS members that live in Illinois, and we have $11.1 billion in earnings, billion with a B. And the economic impact is over $16 billion. You can see that there's a lot of additional data sets that are there, and those numbers are important, I think, to share with elected officials when they talk about the pensions, and you can share about the impact that you personally, as well as the collective group of teachers, active and retirees, have on the Illinois economy as we spend during good times and bad times. Given that, I think it's important to remember, if you have any questions about TRS, I encourage you to contact Member Services, whether they're working in Springfield or from home. They've done a great job in getting you the information you need. My friends here at the Illinois Retired Teachers Association can field your calls, or if you have specific questions for me or would like to start scheduling some upcoming fall and winter meetings, I'd love to get out on the road and see you again. But until that time, stay safe, mask up, get your vaccinations. Be well, my friends.
Hi, my name is Douglas Strand. I'm a retired school teacher from United Township High School in East Moline, Illinois. I am the other retired annuitant who was elected to the TRS board a couple years ago. I am very proud to be a representative of the IRTA and am here to help talk to the different groups concerning the TRS and what we do. One of the challenges that we have today is inflation. You may have heard it on the radio, on TV. It's here. Some people say it's coming. I say it's here. And we need to be very careful about that when we look at investments and the TRS assets under management, known as AUM, assets under management. Larry gave you some statistics. We were up here, we dropped down to 48, we're back up to close to 59.2. And we're, the people there who are making the investments are doing a good job being very careful, looking at inflation, looking at risk, looking at the rewards of the different investments that we make, of which there are over 150 different managers we work with outside of the TRS. It's a big job, and I think they handle it pretty well for the situation they just went through and have gone through over time the last couple decades. I would like to talk to you about another challenge that we have on the TRS board. It is to find a new executive director. We have been without an executive director for a few months now, and we are in the process of trying to find one. There's a search going on at the moment. We have hired an outside firm called Korn Ferry, K-O-R-N-F-E-R-R-Y. We've been in discussions with them. They have given us some brief updates. There has nothing been finalized yet. We're waiting to have the candidates brought to us to interview and talk to a little bit more. And what I'm personally looking for is someone who can understand, of course, your investments, all the different indexes, the accounting background. There's also something to be said about marketing, communications, but I believe that the person should be well versed in the accounting and finance area, and have an understanding of people, because the TRS is a people job. you know, you are dealing with thousands of people in their livelihood, not just the 190 some people or more who work at TRS, but the retired educators from across the state. Many of them, again, as Larry pointed out, live in the state. I personally, there's been talk to where should that person come from, whether it's you know, he or her. There was talk about them maybe living outside of Springfield. I personally would like to see the person be part of the Springfield community. Thank you for your time and effort. Have a good summer. Thank you much. Hello.
Hi, Doug. Good morning. Larry Pfeiffer here. It looks like my camera is not wanting to fire up at this point. I've tried several times. There you are, but I'm with you here in voice, if nothing else.
Gotcha.
I'm looking for any questions that the members, the participants may have put forward, and I'm not seeing anything.
That's because you covered it so well, Larry.
No.
No, good presentation and good information to give to the members that are participating here today, which I saw, I think it was like 36. You covered a lot of ground. Hopefully we supported a little of that. I like the idea of the IPAC. I think John Flaherty, our president, said one time or many times that $1 a month is very inexpensive insurance to help keep the IRTA rolling. I don't know your thoughts on it, but I'm sure you probably would agree to that, how they've protected us over the years.
I agree, not only with that one part of what IRTA is doing, but I think if you lay everything out, the small things like bringing you and I together in front of the members virtually, there's a lot of moving parts behind that. And I've got a lot of praise for the behind the scenes work that IRTA is doing for you and I and all the members. So good job, guys. Thanks for all you do, and we appreciate it very much. And we need to say that more often.
Right.
One more task ahead of me here, Doug, unless you've got anything to summarize with. I've got to send it over to our next presenter. Any final thoughts?
No, I want to compliment Nate and all those people who are helping us keep the IRTA strong. I just wish Nate would make me look a little better on tape, that's all. So.
Well, you see what he's made me look like, so I consider that a victory. Hey, given that, Doug, my friend, we'll see you next week at our state meeting. At this point, I have the honor to introduce our next presenter. Bill Funkhauser is going to give us an update on a recent survey that was done on operational efficiency. And with that, Bill, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. The past 15 months exacerbated present challenges for many organizations, including the Illinois Retired Teachers Association. Local units have not been able to meet, area representatives and regional directors have not been able to visit their units, the IRTA Board of Directors, the Executive Committee, and the standing committees have not been able to meet in person. We have all learned about Zoom meetings, and while it's a good way to take care of business, you miss out on the personal interactions. We have all had to make changes in the way we do things, and this includes the Illinois Retired Teachers Association. With the forced necessity to think about how we do things, it was felt that this would be a good time to take a hard look at our organization. We decided to contract with a consulting firm to do a review of all aspects of IRTA. We sent out a proposal for bids, and after receiving the bids, it was decided to contract with Brewer Pratt Solutions to conduct a review of our organizational effectiveness and provide recommendations for systemic and constitutional changes to ensure the organization remains viable, resilient, and financially strong. To accomplish this, Brewer Pratt used the following processes. First, data-based assessment of relevant materials such as the IRTA Constitution and bylaws. A Zoom-based kickoff meeting with senior staff members. a Zoom-based focus group with board members, 4 or 5 per group. In the first session that I participated in, there were 5 of us, with Elise Brewer-Pratt, the chief executive, and Andrew Chamberlain, chief strategist for Brewer-Pratt. Andrew is British and had a very nice accent that we enjoyed. With just 5 participants, we were able to have a lot of involvement from each person. An online staff survey and follow-up with one-to-one phone calls. An online full membership survey where an email with a link to the survey was sent to all members who have an email address on file. An online board competency self-assessment exercise where again an email with a link to the exercise was sent to all board members. And an online survey of volunteers who staff the committees where again an email link was sent to this survey to all committee members. After gathering information, Brewer-Pratt then compiled a 30-page report with 41 recommendations for possible changes in our organization. The recommendations were grouped into the following categories. First, organization with 11 recommendations, volunteer engagement and management with 12 recommendations, staffing with 6 recommendations, and governance with 12 recommendations. Some of the recommendations are for procedural changes and others constitutional changes. It was easy to see that Andrew had written at least part of the report because his British accent came through with terms such as whilst. After having time to individually review the report, the executive committee held a Zoom conference with representatives of Brewer-Pratt to go over their recommendations and to ask questions. Then, after having time to consider what was said in the Zoom conference, the executive committee held its first in-person meeting since 2019. This gave the members a chance to again ask questions and discuss among themselves the recommendations of the consultants and to decide which of the recommendations the committee feels should be implemented. As a result of this discussion, the executive committee will be sending its recommendations for procedural changes to the board of directors and recommendations for constitutional changes to the Constitution Committee, who will then decide which possible changes to present to the delegate assembly at the convention in October. I will be glad to try and answer any questions that you may have.
Good morning. I'm looking to see if I have any questions. I do not see any currently. I would mention a couple of things that were talked about by the executive committee and procedural changes that we may be doing. One is that we develop a strategic plan to look ahead for the next 3, 5, and 10 years as to where we expect our organization to be and what we'll be doing. Another is that conducting our board meetings, we consider having a consent agenda where routine items are simply taken care of by consent of the board and not going into detail unless someone wants to specifically talk about one of them. There were some of the recommendations that were made that the executive committee felt we don't really have an interest in that. One of them, which would really be a foundation business, was that we consider whether or not we want to continue owning our building. And we felt, now this is not something we are going to be concerned with because we feel the building is something we want to do. And in fact, we have just finished signing a lease with a new tenant that is going to run for the next 7 years. So that's there. We have some other proposals that came from the consultants that would involve constitutional changes. Now, this is something we will be considering. The Constitution Committee will be meeting on July 7th and deciding if there are any of these recommendations that we want to pursue. And if there are, we will then present them to the delegate assembly at the convention in October for their decision. I still do not see any questions. I see a couple that came from some here about TRS matters. Larry and Doug are gone, but I think the first question wanted to know if anyone in Tier 2 started collecting a pension. I believe that the former executive director of TRS, Doug Ingram, is a Tier 2 person who is now collecting a pension. And the other question I saw there for them is that is TRS also involved with health insurance? We sign up, and the answer there is no. TRS does not do the health insurance. That's through CMS, and you sign up directly for it. Now, if I do not see any other questions, I think we'll move on to our next speaker. It's a gentleman I've come to know over the years. As an area representative, I saw him many times at local unit meetings. He's recently had a promotion. He's now the regional vice president of AMBA, but I know that he still wants to get out and get to local meetings because I know, like many of us, he enjoys getting out and meeting the people and talking with them. So I'd like to introduce to you our regional vice president of AMBA, Larry Newman.
Good morning to all Illinois Retired Teacher Association members. My name is Larry Newman, Regional Vice President with AMBA. I've been with AMBA since 2009, starting out as an agent, then as a district manager for the past 8 years, and now in my new role as Vice President of our Midwest region. As I'm speaking, please type any questions that you may have in the chat, and I or one of my colleagues will do the best to answer any questions at the end of my presentation. In my role, I work closely with the staff and Member Benefits Committee to make sure that all members and prospective members have the best-in-class discount programs and benefits designed to work with your current health insurance. AMBA has been in business since 1981, and the partnership we have with the Illinois Retired Teachers Association goes back to 2004. One of the original benefits is the dental program from Emeritus and the vision plan with VSP. I can assure you all that both of these programs remain staples within our suite of benefits and are still a primary reason that a new retiree will hopefully become a member of your association. Over the years, we have added several new discounts and benefits, so be sure to go to your newly designed website and print off a copy of your benefits in the members only section. There you will find two of our newest programs, the Children's Whole Life from Mutual of Omaha and the Fixed Indexed Annuity program from Emeritus. I will be providing a few slides about these programs in just a few minutes. I'll also provide you with the contact information of our Illinois District Managers Nancy Kramer and Gary DeVito. Each of these individuals will be excellent contacts for you to discuss any new programs that you or your family members might have interest in. We will also provide you with a direct QR code so you can request a benefits review via Zoom or in person as we get back to some level of normal. This is something that we have done with thousands of members throughout the crazy year of 2020. We feel you will find this to be an educational and valuable experience. So stay safe and healthy. We look forward to helping you throughout 2021. Thank you.
Good morning, all. This is Gary DeVito. Nice to see you all here. What I'll do as a follow-up to Larry's conversation is give you a little bit more information regarding these new benefits that you have access to, which have been extremely popular, and certainly happy to answer any questions that you might have as well. So the first benefit is this Children's Whole Life program from Mutual of Omaha, highly rated company. This has been real popular and prevalent since it's been rolled out, and what a lot of retirees do is they'll buy it as a gift for their grandkids. But the other thing that we've seen too is they allow their kids to become a member of the IRTA and then the kids can buy this program for their own kids. But you can get a benefit amount of anywhere from $5,000 to $50,000 for kids anywhere ages 2 weeks to 17 years old. It's a great program, very economical. It's about a couple $100 a year, right in that ballpark for a kid anywhere from 2 weeks to 4 years old. When you look at that and you do the math to it, it will take about 250 years to pay into it to get the benefit out, which is just unheard of. It's a great value. There's no medical exam required, just a couple health questions. It does build cash value. It's guaranteed to age 100. It has a guaranteed insurability rider, which we're going to touch on here right now. So what this means is once they have this program in place, as that child matures and has certain life events that occur, such as getting married, purchase of a house, having a child, and also on specific birthdays, they can buy more coverage without showing any evidence of insurability, which is absolutely awesome. So they can lock in their health at their their youthful age, if you will. But again, the value of this program is absolutely tremendous, and has been again very popular since it's been rolled out. Next, one of the concerns that we do see with retirees is that they're concerned that they may outlive their money. We've rolled out another program. It's a fixed index annuity from Emeritus. Emeritus is the same company that brings your dental coverage. They are an A-rated company also. This is a fixed index annuity that has some great returns on it. Over the last 10 years with one of the programs, it's averaged about 4.19%. With another program, it's about 5.67%. But it can grow on a tax-deferred basis. It takes advantage of the stock market, but you're guaranteed to never lose money. So imagine being able to take advantage of the upside in the stock market, but never any of the downside. It's an awesome program. It's a great hedge against inflation. Again, your money can grow tax-deferred, has great returns. Again, this has been very popular with us too. It does offer also guaranteed income for life. Emeritus is an A+ rated company that's been around for over 130 years. So they've been through the pandemic of 1918, World War I. Of course, World War I happened right around the same time. World War II, all the other wars that we've seen since, Vietnam, Persian Gulf, and now the current pandemic. And they're still an A+ rated company. They're very, very staid, very conservative. We've had a number of retirees who have taken advantage of this and have said, yeah, this is kind of a CD killer. And it truly is. But again, you're able to take advantage of all the upside of the market, but none of the downside. And with this program, there is no underwriting. It is long-term care friendly, which, if you have an interest in something like this, certainly we're happy to help you out and explain some more of the details. But it offers some tremendous advantages for long-term care and lifetime income options and what have you. There's a lot of moving parts to it, but we can boil it down and help make it simple and fit your specific situation as best as possible. And those were the highlights for those two programs. If you have any questions, certainly I'm happy to answer those. If you have further interest in these programs or any of the other programs that AMBA has for Illinois retired teachers, you can take your smartphone and just roll it right over that funny looking symbol on the right-hand side there. It's a QR code, and it'll take you right to an AMBA website, you can request more information. With that, I'll leave you with, I spoke with a retired math teacher last week, and he said, it's really, really interesting. Parallel lines have so much in common, but it's a shame that they'll never meet. At any rate, with that, I want to reintroduce you to your Area 2 rep, to our Area 2 rep, Wendy Wiegers.
Thank you, Gary. It was nice to hear from you today.
Thank you.
And hello again, and thank you so much for all of you who have attended our conference. And hearing those presentations certainly has given me a much clearer understanding of the state of our association, which is really doing well. The need for continued membership efforts, and we all know that's true. The diligence of our legislative affairs team, and the importance of the $1 a month PAC donation club, as well as the pension investments at TRS and a couple of new insurance options from AMBA. We really did pack a lot of information into the last hour and a half, and we did it virtually, and we are almost finished. So first I would, before we do the final two drawings, Nancy, excuse me, I would like to thank a number of individuals who, although we haven't seen each other for a year and a half, have made Area 2 so great. So if these are members from your unit, you can give them a round of applause. And first, our regional directors, I'm going to be going 2, 3, and 5 when I mention people. And that's John Anderson, Bob Lyons, and Karen Patterson. And thank you for your continual support for all of us. They serve on the association's board of directors, and they are your voice on all issues of the association. So if you have concerns, you just need to contact your regional directors and they will get it to IRTA, or you could do it yourself. A big thanks to Reinhardt Taylor, and also Ed added a little hilarity in our lives, but Reinhardt serves as the chairman of the state's Information Services Committee, as well as Kathleen Speaker, who is our Area 2 representative. Thanks to Norm Walter, who chairs the Legislative Affairs Committee, and Carl Heinz Gabby from Region 3. Lena Kaiser, Area 2's Foundation at-large board member. We just received 9 applications for the Excellence in Teaching. So we will be going through there and deciding on which one of those will get the $3,000 that's allotted to our area. And thank you to John Davis, who is our new representative on finance, and Linda Young and Irene Jenks on membership, Conrad Floater and Kathleen Stark for IRTA PAC. And as you can see, we still have a person that we need from Region 5 to be on that one. And Judy Marola, who is serving on the Convention Committee. And then there are Area 2, our local presidents from Region 2, Bob Kohler and Stephen Polip. Region 3, Irene Jinks and Kyla Rubenstein and Jane McCauley. Region 5, Richard Schindel, VP Rosemarie Slavenis, Jim Hisson, and Christine Moeller. And thank you to all of you who may be also helping with your local units as vice presidents, secretaries, all of the other necessary membership, political, anything that has to do with your area unit. We thank you, because our association is only capable of operating because of volunteers like yourself. Without you, we cannot exist. So thank you all for this year, these almost 2 years of hard work over what you have been doing. And it's not anything but normal, and your efforts have not gone unnoticed. But if you would like to sign up for an IRTA committee or do more with your local unit, I'm sure everyone could use your help. I would also like to especially thank you, Nathan Melhilik, for executing the production of the webinar and all of everything that he has done for today and for the other 5 areas. And also to Tricia Klim for being here and helping at the virtual desk in the lounge. It's technology, as we all know, especially for me, is not easy. And so if you have any problems, just contact IRTA and they would be glad to help you learn how to do Zoom meetings if you don't know how to do them already. They're, excuse me, they're there to help you. I would also like to extend a great thank you to IRTA's Executive Director, Jim Bachman. He has been the man for all seasons, and he has been helping to keep us hanging together in these perilous times. I should have had some water. As well as all of the other IRTA staff who are just phenomenal in what they do for us every day. And finally, there's your IRTA board. You've already heard from John Flaherty and Bill Funkhauser, but pardon me, many thanks also go to Donnie Alstrom, our treasurer, Doris Heaton, the secretary, and Roger Hampton, our past IRTA president. Oh, how they were able to do everything they do is just beyond imagination. I'd like to invite all of you who are using a computer now to attend our virtual conference to socialize. Unfortunately, we can't do anything except maybe see each other and network in the virtual lounge. So to do that, you can click on a chair and join a table and say hello. Or you can start networking to join speed networking, which means you are matched with another member for 5 minutes. And once your 5 minutes are over, they'll go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, and then you can go back to the lounge, or you can choose to do another speed networking with another person for 5 minutes. So this is kind of tricky, but I think we can do it. I keep telling myself when I have problems on the computer, I've got my master's degree. I can do this. I'm a teacher. I can do anything. But now let's draw for our final 2 door prizes of the day. So here we go with our Wheel of Choice chance. Spinning for a third one. Do, 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 do. I know, Jeopardy. Do, do, do. And it is Leanna. Good. Leanna Kaiser, congratulations. And spinning for our final. And it is Linda. Oh my gosh, Linda Kohler. All right, congratulations to all 4 of you. And as soon as I get your names, I will send out your gift cards for $50. So congratulations again. And so that concludes the 2021 Area 2 virtual conference. I hope you've learned a lot, and I have. So now I will see you in the virtual lounge if you'd like to talk.
Wendy, before we end, Wendy, Linda has already won, so we're going to spin the wheel one more time.
Oh, okay. That's a good one.
Here we go.
I thought I recognized that name. Okay. And it is Regina. So hopefully they have your name, Regina, for everything, so I can send it to you. But congratulations. All right. And so now I will see you in the virtual lounge, and Thank you again for coming. Bye-bye.